Okay mate, so step number one is your address position, and we need to see your feet and your shoulders pointing the same direction, whereas at the moment you've got your feet pointing off to the right and your shoulders off to the left. So we need to bring that right foot forward, left foot back, and get your shoulders square. Something I find quite useful with this when you're practicing is take either a shaft or an old golf club, place it along the floor, and you can use that then as a reference. Get your feet parallel to it, and then your shoulders also parallel as you set up to the golf ball. Now from there, what we see in your backswing is we see this right arm work out behind you. So what it is, if I was to describe what your right arm needs to do in a golf swing, it needs to bicep curl. For you, you're doing more of a row. So we need to take away this row move and make it more of a bicep curl. Now there's two drills we can do to help you with this. One is just a feel drill. So take your left hand off the club, place it behind your right elbow and use it to push forward on your right arm as you make a backswing move. So like so. And that forces you to keep that right arm tucked rather than working it out back behind you, which is what you do at the moment. So you'll feel that position there. You're simply going to use this drill to force that right elbow into the right position. And then you can do that in your practice swings. Think about how it feels. And then you can try and step into a golf ball and recreate it. Now I'd recommend with any swing change, when you're trying to implement it, you start off by swinging slowly. So you can hit golf balls once you do it. So you can do your practice swings and you can hit a golf ball, but try and make like an old man 20% slow swing, making sure you really focus on that perfect right arm position. And then as you've done that, you can build up the speed once you're able to hit that position consistently. If you start trying to do it fast straight away, you'll probably struggle. Do it slowly, and then once you can do it slowly, build up the speed. So that's one way of working on that drill. The other one we can do, which you can actually hit golf balls from, is to build a backswing. What I want you to do that, you set up to the ball. I want you to bicep curl, but rather than bicep curling straight out to the front, bicep curl to about 3 o'clock, 2 or 3 o'clock on a clock face in front of you. So slightly out to the right. So that's all you need to do. Bicep curl out to the right until the club reaches parallel to the ground. So it's going to look something like this. From there, from down the line, which is where you are now, you then use your wrists while the club's parallel to the ground to bring that club head over the hands. And then from there, all you need to do is turn. So that's all you need to do to create a good top of the backswing position is you do that. Bicep curl out to the right slightly till the club reaches parallel to the ground. Then you use your wrists to get the club head over your hands, in line with your hands. And then you turn. That is your top of the backswing position, and you can hit shots from there. So that's also going to help you keep that right arm more in front. Now, once we've got the right arm more in front, the next thing for you is your transition move. So what we see with you, from here, those hands go over and forward and that club gets very vertical. Whereas what we want to see is the hands working more down behind, that club being more horizontal. Now the reason you get over and forward is because your upper body opens up too quickly from the top. So what you'll notice, if I use my club here to illustrate where my shoulders are pointing, if my shoulders open very quickly and that left shoulder turns out and back behind me, can you see that's pulling my hand over and forward? So that's what's happening for you in a golf swing. Your shoulders are opening too quick and that's pulling your hands forward, which is pulling that club steep. Whereas if I try and keep my shoulders closed and pointing to the right of target, then my hands have got more time to work down before they work out. And then my shoulders can open through the ball rather than from the top of the backswing. So what we want to try and feel from the top of the backswing is that your shoulders stay closed for longer as the hands work down. And that's going to allow that club to then work down behind you so you can swing more from the inside out. So there's a few different ways of thinking about this. It does depend on what you're more comfortable with, but the general gist is that we want to keep the shoulders closed for longer so they can open through the golf ball rather than having the shoulders open straight away from the top of the backswing. So you could feel that your back stays towards the target for longer. So as you make a backswing, you try and keep your back pointing towards the target as you swing down and through the ball. Now obviously you're not actually going to do this. You'll still have some amount of movement, but it's going to help the club work down behind you. You can do a similar thing where you feel like the shoulders, if I illustrate them again with this club, point to the right of the target for as long as possible as I work down. You can try and feel like you get those hands brushing the right pocket on the way down. So it's going to do the same thing. Your shoulder's going to have to stay closed, but feel like you're trying to get your hands as close as you can to the right pocket. That's going to have them working down behind you before they work out, as opposed to if you do this, then your hands are nowhere near your right pocket. You can also think about it as, have you ever skimmed a stone? That's a very similar movement. So your shoulders will have to stay closed and the arms working down underneath. You don't skim a stone by throwing this way. You go down and under. So that's a very similar movement you can feel. And the drill I want you to use in order to do this, those are the feels. This is the drill. The drill is a pump drill. So you go to the top of the backswing in your new perfect backswing position. And I want you to feel that you pump down with those hands moving, the upper body staying exactly where it is. And then you can hit the ball whilst doing that. So you're going to go to the top, you're going to do a couple of pumps of that hands and arms down behind you. And then you're going to pump back up and hit it. So you're not making one fluid golf swing move, you're going to the top, pump, pump, and then hit from there. And that's going to really get you feeling like you work the club from inside out. The other thing you can then do as a drill is a deliberate close drill. So you set up square to the golf ball, then I want you to really close your shoulders off. You might have to move the ball position back slightly for this. And then I want you to try and feel, like, see how much my shoulders are pointing off to the right? Feel like you keep them there throughout this whole golf swing. You just do little half swings, trying to really swing that club as far out away from you as you can through the ball. And that's going to really get that ball starting to work from right to left and hitting low. You only need to hit it 60 or 70 yards, but feeling like you hit that club and hit those low draws. And because you're so exaggerated, that's going to give you a feeling that you can then carry over into your golf swing. Now, once you've got your backswing sorted and you've got that club working down behind you, we can then work on your spine angle. So what you're doing at the moment, because we said your club's too steep here and we want to get it more horizontal, one of the ways you can kind of cheat that low down is by standing up. So you see how as I stood up, this club shaft goes from very vertical to more horizontal. So you've got this lower body driving forward as you come up and out of posture as a way of trying to cheat that club and reroute it later on in the downswing. But once the club's further behind you, you have no need for that. So at the moment it's helping you. But once you've got the club already further back, more horizontal behind you, you have no need to stand up. That'll just get you too flat. So you can stay down in posture and just turn. So what we then want to do is introduce, in this scenario I'm using a stool. You can use a golf bag, you can use a box, you can use a chair, you can use a side of a range bay, anything you have handy that can sit about waist height behind you. And what I'm going to do is I'm setting up, just lightly touching it, and I'm going to feel like in my backswing, my right butt cheek turns into it. Then as I change direction and come down, my left butt cheek's going to go into it, but rather than just touching it, I'm going to try and knock it over backwards. Obviously I can't actually do it, but I'm going to try and push back my left butt cheek and knock it over. Now what this is doing is forcing my hips to then stay back throughout this golf swing, which means I can keep in my posture and in my spine angle. If my hips go forward, then I come away from this stool and I'm not able to try and push it. If I come forward, there's no way I can try and push it back behind me. So your goal is to try and make a golf swing where you knock it over back behind you by pushing that left hip back rather than allowing it to come forward. From there, you should then be able to just turn through the golf ball because you've got that club in a nice position, you're staying in posture. You should then be able to just turn through the shot rather than at the moment you come over and forward, then you try and reroute it by coming up and out of posture, and then you have to let the hands go at the bottom. So hopefully that will make sense. Obviously I'm aware it's a lot of information, but when you do, trying to get as much as I can into one lesson as possible. So I've tried to give you enough to go and work on step by step for a good while. Let me know if it all makes sense. If you've got any questions, by all means fire them over. Otherwise, good luck, and I look forward to hearing from you again at some point in the future.